Have you ever felt like you gave your all to people and still ended up alone when you needed someone the most? Have you ever trusted friends, been there for everyone, helped, listened, forgave, and at the time of pain, the phone didn't ring, the door didn't open, no one came? If you've ever cried in silence, feeling like even God had forgotten you, this video is for you, because what happened to Caleb can happen to anyone, and the answer he received might change your life too. In this video, you'll discover what God does when the world abandons you, what it means when friends disappear, and how a simple visit can carry a divine revelation. Don't leave before the end, because you need to hear what God revealed to Caleb, and what he may be trying to reveal to you too. And before we continue, a quick reminder. Over 80% of people who watch our videos are still not subscribed to the channel. If this content has already touched something inside you in the first few minutes, subscribe now. It's free, quick, and it guarantees you won't miss any powerful message like this in the coming weeks. Your faith deserves that care. It was a cloudy Wednesday in Charleston when Caleb Harper woke up for the fourth day in a row without the strength to even drag himself to the kitchen. The light filtered shyly through the greasy curtains of his tiny studio apartment, but there was no beauty there. The sour smell of forgotten soup, the dampness stuck to the walls, and the constant feeling of fever blended with what hurt the most, the cruel realization that no one was coming. That 27-year-old man, known by many as helpful and always willing to lend a hand, was now alone. 4 days earlier, the flu had knocked him down violently. Body aches, chills, unrelenting fatigue, and still, what plagued him the most was the silence. Caleb had always been the kind of person who carried other people's problems as if they were his own. He gave rides without asking for gas money, helped with moves even in the rain, listened to long vents without ever turning away. He believed in goodness, trusted people as if his own light would be enough to illuminate the world. But there, lying on a cold bed, with a silent phone on the nightstand, he began to wonder if he'd gone too long without seeing himself. With his head resting on a limp pillow and eyes wet from fever, Caleb dove into memories that felt more like blades. He remembered when, months earlier, he had confided his biggest dream to Jason, a co-worker he thought was more than just a colleague. He dreamed of leaving everything behind for a year, strapping on a backpack and traveling through small towns in South America, writing about faith, simple people, and human experiences. He spoke about it with enthusiasm, hoping for support, maybe even encouragement. But the next day, he heard his own dream being mocked in the office group chat. "Our gospel backpacker," they joked. Caleb pretended to laugh, but inside, something broke. It wasn't just the mockery, it was betrayal disguised as camaraderie. As if that weren't enough, some time later he saw his best friend, Liam, the one who grew up with him, who knew his secrets and vulnerabilities, get involved with Haley, his ex-girlfriend. Caleb didn't know what hurt more, the silent abandonment from someone he loved, or the shameless audacity of someone pretending nothing was wrong. Lying in absolute silence, with the sheets clinging to his sweaty skin and his heart racing for reasons beyond the illness, Caleb felt a kind of pain that had no name. It wasn't just physical. It was the kind of pain that lives in the margins of existence, that feeds on absence. He waited for a message, a knock on the door, any gesture, but nothing came. Not even from those he had helped weeks earlier. Not those he had lent money to, listened to for hours, or supported through crises. The city outside remained alive, but inside his studio, everything was suspended. The only sound was the persistent dripping of the kitchen faucet, like a cruel reminder that life doesn't stop just because you've stopped. That's when she arrived. Mrs. Maynard, his landlady, a quiet widow who lived downstairs, knocked on the door with a bowl of warm soup, a damp cloth, and a look that said, "I see you." There were no questions, no pity, just presence. And in that presence, there was more healing than in any medicine. The old woman sat on the edge of the bed with Such tender care it was, as if she feared breaking him. "You remind me of my son," she said, her voice raspy from years of speaking many things, but now choosing only words that heal. He also trusted too much, thought everyone was good, but he learned the hard way. Caleb, still weak, tried to smile. She continued, "I was alone when I needed someone. I had friends for coffee and parties, but none for the pain. That's when I learned that God gives us spiritual eyes. When we ask for discernment, He shows us who is real and who just appears for the shine." Caleb felt a lump in his throat. He had never thought to ask for discernment. He always asked for solutions, healing, money, answers, but never for clarity. Maybe that's what he had been missing all along. That simple woman, with the scent of lavender and thyme in her eyes, wasn't just someone offering help. She was a mirror reflecting back the question, who's really by your side? In that moment, something began to rearrange inside him. Still weak, with a heavy body and fever still fluctuating, he felt that conversation was a turning point. Caleb wasn't dumb nor weak. He was just someone who confused being good with being constantly available. For the first time, he understood that there's a difference between giving and abandoning yourself. When Mrs. Maynard said goodbye and slowly walked down the stairs with the empty bowl in her hands, he stayed lying down, but his thoughts were already running free, as if a dam had broken. Inside him, he remembered the times he ignored the discomfort in people's actions, the times he stayed silent when he should have set boundaries. And there, among sweaty pillows and tangled sheets, he made a decision. He wouldn't dim his light, but he would choose more carefully who he allowed to warm themselves by it. For the first time, Caleb felt that maybe after the fever would come faith. Not blind faith in others, but the faith that God still cared for him. And that was enough. As the afternoon began to darken, Caleb got up for the first time in days. Not with strength, but with a kind of quiet purpose, like someone who no longer wanted to be a spectator of his own life. Still sore and with blurred vision from the fever, he went to the small shelf where he kept his old notebooks. He picked one up, the navy blue one stained with coffee and dust, and began to write. He didn't write farewell letters or grand plans, just scattered phrases that came like whispers from the spirit. Not every smile is a blessing. Solitude reveals the invisible. God is still here. As he wrote, silent tears ran down his face, not out of sadness, but something deeper, maybe mourning for all he had endured in silence, or relief for finally naming the pain. The fever still pulsed, but now there was a new kind of warmth, the kind that comes from being, even in solitude, at peace with oneself. It was as if God spoke in the margins. You are not alone. You never were. At dusk, Caleb sat by the window. The rain had stopped, but the ground still reflected the flickering streetlights, as if the city wept with him. He watched the cars go by, the hurried people, the couples sharing umbrellas on the sidewalk. For the first time, he felt no envy, no bitterness, no rush. He felt gratitude. Gratitude for Mrs. Maynard, who stepped into his pain without fear. Gratitude for being sick, because the sickness revealed what really mattered. And even gratitude for the absences, which taught more than any forced presence ever could. Instead of continuing to wait for the world to repay him as he hoped, Caleb decided to be faithful to himself, with more boundaries, more inner listening, more connection with God. The old Caleb wanted to be accepted. The new Caleb wanted to be true. And truth, he now knew, is always accompanied by silence, but never by spiritual solitude. With the phone still in his hand, he started deleting contacts. Not out of spite, but as someone clearing out a closet, to make room for what truly matters. Name after name disappeared from the screen. People who didn't know his favorite color, who never asked how he really felt, who only called when they needed something. And when he finished, he took a deep breath, felt the weight lift off his shoulders. Then he did something he hadn't done in a long time. He prayed, not with rehearsed words or desperate pleas. He prayed like someone talking to an old friend who had always been there, even when forgotten. He asked for discernment, for comfort, for wisdom to recognize the true ones and courage to walk away from the false. And as he prayed, something within him settled. Not a miraculous answer or divine revelation, but a silence that embraced him. The certainty that, from then on, even if he stumbled, he would no longer walk alone. That same night, before going to bed, Caleb heard soft knocks at the door. It was Mrs. Maynard again, holding a small wooden box in her hands. "It belonged to my son. He kept letters in it. I thought, maybe you could keep your words here," she said, handing him the box with a shy smile. Caleb received it as if it were a treasure. More than the object, it was the gesture, the silent acknowledgement of his pain, his new beginning, his story. "Thank you," he said, voice choked, "for everything." She just gently touched his shoulder and went back down the stairs slowly. Caleb closed the door gently, leaned against it for a few seconds, and then looked at the ceiling. For the first time in days, he smiled, not a smile of victory, but of someone who finally felt whole. And with that smile, he returned to the bed, still weak, but now filled with presence. In the dark, before closing his eyes, he whispered, "Thank you, God, for showing me what is true." Caleb's story didn't end there, but that day, something changed forever. He didn't become bitter, nor did he stop being good. He simply learned to discern. Over time, new friends would appear. Some unexpected, others sent with purpose. And now, more than ever, he would know how to recognize them. The experience of being forgotten prepared him to value those who remember. Solitude taught him that even in the deepest silence, God speaks. And the pain, though cruel, led him to a new way of living, with love, with truth, with boundaries, and with faith. Caleb discovered he didn't need many around, just a few who were real. And if those few were sent by God, there was nothing to fear, because even in the darkest room, light comes through the cracks, and that he now knew, the light always returns. And now I ask you with all sincerity, have you ever trusted someone who disappeared when you needed them the most? Have you ever experienced something similar to Caleb's story? Share your experience in the comments. Your voice can comfort and strengthen others who are going through the same thing. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, do it now. Click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to receive our next videos that will deeply touch your heart and strengthen your faith. And don't go yet. Click the video appearing on the screen right now. It brings a powerful message that complements everything you've just heard. Until the next video, may God bless you and keep you.